Welcome everyone to our March City Council meeting. And if I could, I'd like to ask Reverend Ronnie Kendall to please come up and do our invocation for us. And then after that, he's going to be joined by Dan Curry and 2 scouts to do the pledge. And then I got a little surprise for him, maybe.
Thanks, Brian. All right, let's pray. Father, grateful for the things you do for us in our lives, for your goodness and your grace and mercy that you provide for us each and every day of our lives. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to come, be a part of this meeting. I pray for the people who are here. I pray for the people who are in charge, that you will give them wisdom and discernment in making decisions about this city and what you have for it. And so we're grateful for just letting us be a part tonight. Pray that you'll be with us and guide us as we continue to meet. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Just want to take a minute to tell you a few things about Reverend Ronnie Kendall, if he's here with me. I don't know what school that T stands for, but I tried to cover it up, and he wouldn't let me. I think it's Tucker. Tucker, I like Tucker. It's Tucker High School. Don't anybody think Tennessee. Of course, he did go to Carson Newman, and my school used to beat the heck out of them all the time back in the day. You know better. The City of Loganville would like to recognize Reverend Ronnie Kendall, who has served as lead pastor at First Baptist Church Loganville for 36 years, consistently pointing the congregation toward Jesus, faithfully preaching the word, while humbly continuing his walk with God. He must have been a youngster when he started. Pretty young. Pastor Ronnie, who has officially passed on the torch, will continue as executive associate pastor of First Baptist Church Loganville. Today, with great pride, we acknowledge his faithful service to his church and all he has accomplished, and to give thanks to God for all he led Pastor Kendall to do while leading and caring for the church. And the church is really growing, really has. Moving forward, Pastor Ronnie will continue his focus on strengthening families by providing counseling to the congregation and the community, which has always been his heart. He's always been doing, working with families and that kind of thing, and true passion, and is eager to serve in this renewed capacity. We're proud for you. Reverend Ronnie Kendall, we would like to say that you are a true demonstration of Matthew 25:21. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much, and he has. You are an example to all of us, Pastor Kendall, and good steward over all that has been placed in your hands, given this 13th day of June, 2025. And while it probably won't mean a lot, I did sign it. And if it's sort of like the little coins we have sometimes, but if he keeps this, I'm telling you, if he keeps this for 500 years, it might be worth something. But anyway, we appreciate you. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a roll call to do real quick. All the council is here. The mayor is here. We have our director of finance with us. We've got our city attorney with us, and we've got our city manager with us. So it's good to have everybody here. We need a motion to adopt the agenda, please. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Agenda is adopted. Also, if you look on your agenda that you should have gotten at the back door, the consent agenda is those things that the council all agreed upon on Monday night. And instead of going through the details of each one of them again and raise the ire of your boredom, we put it on a consent agenda. And I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second? Second. Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Consent agenda is adopted. On Monday night, if you were here, we had one council member that sort of hogged the whole meeting. And I guess we'll send it back over to Lisa Newberry again tonight for the Planning and Development Committee report.
Thank you, Mayor. So we've got several cases to vote on tonight, and every case has to be voted individually. Case number R24-034, I make a motion to deny.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Yes.
You want to repeat the motion?
I make a motion to deny.
Okay, we have a motion to deny. We have a second to that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so that application is denied 5-1. Okay, next.
Case number R24-036, I make a motion to deny.
Second.
Okay, on the second case, we have a motion to deny. It's on your agendas. And we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that one is denied 4-2. Is that correct? Okay.
Okay, the Uprise Development has agreed to table for 30 days or until the April meeting. So case number A24-023, I make a motion to table until the April meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table the first part of Uprise Development LLC until the April council meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that carries 6-0.
Case number A24-025, I make a motion to table until the April council meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay,
Okay, case number A24-027, I make a motion to table until the April council meeting.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay,
Case number R24-024, I make a motion to table until the April council meeting.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that also carries 6-0. So the Uprise Development is tabled to the April meeting. What are you going to be looking for in the April meeting, if I might? Have we discussed it with them? Number one is a landscape plan.
This is different.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
This is the PUE.
okay, so we got it?
Yep. You
Okay,
good?
move right ahead.
Okay,
Sorry.
case number R25-001, I make a motion to table until the April council meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, that passes 6-0.
Is that till the April meeting?
Yes.
Case number 25-002, I make a motion to approve the amendment as stated.
Second. I'm on.
Okay, this piece is just a housekeeping deal. We're moving some language from one area of the ordinance to another. So we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Say aye. Those opposed? Carries 6-0. Okay?
And that is all we have, Mayor.
Well, that was certainly quicker than Monday night. Okay. And now we'll move to Finance Human Resources. Ann Hunsinger.
I have no items. Mr. Mayor, mine was on consent.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Public Safety Committee, Melanie Long.
I have nothing tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Public Utilities Transportation Committee, Bill Duvall.
My items are covered under consent, Mr. Mayor. I have no other items.
So you good with consent agenda? You good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Economic Development Committee, Brandon Whitfield. Oh, okay, I'm
It's
sorry,
okay,
Patty.
Skip, I don't have
You got some,
anything.
yeah, you do have some news.
I do?
Public Works Facilities Committee, Patty Wolf.
I have nothing. Thank you.
If I may, I'll share what she may have.
What did I miss?
I sent you an email yesterday.
I didn't get it.
We had the annual cleanup last Saturday from 8 in the morning to 12 at noon. 41 people, 41 volunteers came out to join us,
Not mine.
and it was great. The year before, we had a little over 20, so it was wonderful. They picked up just over a half a ton of trash on the side of the streets. That's your committee, Bill? Did you forget that too?
It sure is.
Okay, well,
But I'm glad you had the statistics.
I'm here to help out. But anyway, we appreciate those people that came out and joined us. It's not the most delectable thing that we choose to do in a given day, but it's certainly necessary because we have a lot of people that love to throw trash on our beautiful town. And only thing we can do is keep it going. Okay, Patty, you good with that?
I'm good, Skip,
Okay.
thanks.
Economic Development Committee, Brandon Whitfield.
Thank you, Skip. I don't have any actual items. They were on consent. But Christy Peters left me a note that she's not going to be here. She wants me to talk up margaritas and tacos on Main. It's April 5th. It's a Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the town green. It will include a variety of Mexican favorites from the area's best food trucks and restaurants, all going to be there. And there's going to be live performances and a DJ. There's no cost to attend, but please get you some food and drinks from the trucks and all that are going to be there. And again, that will be April 5th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the town green. That's all I have, Mayor.
And
Should
we
be a lot of
just
fun.
and we just found out that one of our council members is going to be there wearing a costume from Mexico. So that ought to add to the fun that day. April the 5th. Okay, is that all, Brendan?
That's all I have, Skip.
Very good. All right, City Manager's Report, Danny Roberts.
Well, I was going to talk about the cleanup day, but you covered that, so I'm
Okay,
good.
I did good, huh?
What'd he miss?
I just didn't want anything to go by without those 41 people know how much we appreciate them coming out there. They didn't have to do that, so thank them.
You're right. They did.
Okay, we now move to City Attorney Paul Rosenthal.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a couple of things on the agenda, a couple that came up late, so they're not on there. But the first is the moratorium that you passed on Monday evening. I know there was some discussion about the fact that we normally pass things on Thursday. You'll have the authority and the right to pass them on Monday, but out of an abundance of caution and to alleviate concerns, I know there was a discussion about reaffirming the vote that you took on Monday and taking it again this evening. Also, just for point of reference, staff received no applications for rezone or annexation since Monday as well, so I don't think anyone was negatively affected either. So with that being said, I believe Ms. Lisa may have a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we reaffirm our vote from Monday's work session in passing the moratorium ordinance on zoning and annexation applications as presented.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a
I
second.
have a question.
Okay, question?
Is this, does this have any value?
It has value to resolve all doubts and questions as to what we did on Monday and confirming it again that you're doing it now. But the moratorium was in effect as of Monday evening.
So the purpose of this vote is to,
To make sure we have transparency in the things that we do.
but it's, huh?
Satisfy you?
No, it's not to satisfy me. The vote was done Monday.
No, we understand, that's true.
This vote is pointless.
You're right.
Procedurally, I would agree with you, but also to address the issue that the mayor raised of transparency of, well, we normally vote on things on Monday or on Thursday, even though you have the authority to vote on things on Monday. This is just a reaffirmation of that vote.
I think.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? 5-1.
May I make a comment, Skip, please?
Sure.
I just wanted to note, as far as the confusion in the Monday night versus the Thursday night, the night of the election for the new council members, which was about, I don't know, when were we elected, Lisa? Anyway, whenever it was.
2 years ago.
You voted on the IGA Monday night, the night before the Tuesday election. There was no talk about it. There were no objections about voting on it, nothing. It was rushed in there and voted the night before the council election. I just wanted that put on the record. Thank you.
I believe that was involving 3 different groups that had to approve that. And we had to get it to the county in time for their meeting on Tuesday, if I remember right, Paul.
I don't remember the specifics, but it's pretty clear. As long as we advertise a meeting and you adopt an agenda, y'all can take action at meetings as necessary.
Well, we'll have to mark up one for Patty's memory.
Oh, don't do that.
Memory.
Because
Memories.
tomorrow I'll forget.
Memories.
No.
Okay, anything else, Paul?
Yes, I have two other things that came in here kind of late. One of them I was hoping to talk to you about on Monday, but we didn't have exacts. And so one I just got literally at 5:30. So I got an email from the library board's attorney, and she asked me to convey this information, which I'm happy to do. She wanted me to report to you and to the general public that the Azalea Regional Library System is pleased to announce that they were awarded an additional $1 million of funding. That includes $900,000 in state funding along with a local $100,000 match. That is not y'all's match, that is their match. In state funding, this funding was allocated to support the new construction of the O'Kelly Memorial Library project by the state of Georgia legislature. This allocation is a significant contribution towards the completion of the project, coupled along with the existing funding from the city of Loganville, Walton County, the state, and local fundraising efforts. All of this together will continue to move the project forward. Additional funding is still key to fulfilling the complete vision of the project, and to that end, local fundraising efforts are still ongoing, including a benefit concert featuring the talented Bella Rosenthal. I did not write that, on May the 9th. Construction is scheduled to start imminently with an anticipated completion date of late 2025. The library is excited about bringing this long-anticipated project to a reality for downtown Loganville and is so grateful for the support of state and local leadership, citizens, and the tireless efforts of the regional team, the library staff, and the library board of trustees. That was sent to me by Miss Andrea Gray just a couple hours ago. She also wanted me to mention that they are working towards planning on a groundbreaking ceremony sometime in the next 60 days. So that's all I have on the library, Mayor.
Thank God, 60 days. Wonderful.
Yes, that, I did not do that. I just read the email that
understand.
I was presented, but kudos to the library folks for getting that $1 million.
Yes, sir.
The other item is a new local legislation that was dropped sometime late Monday night because I was not able to find it before I came over here on Monday. So I'm going to pass this out to everybody. But basically, here's the 5-second version of it. We had all these lovely discussions about House Bill 581, and if you'll recall, in the middle of that, I think Ms. Patty had asked me the question, if the Gold Dome does something, then they just get to do it, and that is essentially what they've done. Representative Martinez, Williamson, and Fleming, all three of your local delegation, dropped local legislation on Monday night to essentially, in short version, undo y'all's undoing of House Bill 581. So, to undo your opting out of House Bill 581. Not exactly. I'll explain and give you the details of what the House bill does.
Oh, okay.
But you'll notice an article actually dropped in the paper on Sunday of it, and this was the intent to introduce local legislation was advertised last Wednesday in the Tribune on March the 5th. Nobody at the city levels, I can tell you this, nobody at the city levels really knew about this until some one-on-one discussions were had down at the at the Gold Dome with some other city managers and the county chairman, and it was kind of dropped in everybody's lap. So this was done by your local delegation, and it appears that it was done without input from anybody on this days. House Bill 745 essentially puts in place a similar type, but not exactly the same, homestead exemption cap. It is not law yet. I'll explain what has to happen for it to become law. But what it does is it drops in place a similar homestead exemption, not the exact same, that tracks essentially CPI plus a quarter point. So I'll explain. If you go to HB 581, it was every year there's just a 3% cap, period, no matter what it is. This legislation is very similar, but it changes on this, and that was actually the result of sort of back-of-the-napkin negotiations that took place between some GMA reps and some of the city managers from the cities of Walton County. So it's capped by CPI plus a quarter of a point. What that means is that the homestead exemption will track that lock-in rate, if you will. This does not start until tax year 2026. The base year that it uses is actually assessed value 2024. It has been requested that it be brought to 2025. some general conversations with the legislative, your local legislative delegation was, no, this is how it's drafted. Here's what has to happen for this to become law. Because the Georgia Constitution is very clear on ad valorem exemptions. It has to, it's been introduced by local legislation. It could not be introduced until Monday. They dropped it late Monday night. It has to pass both houses by 2/3 majority, by supermajority, and then voted on by the governor. Then it has to come before your citizens, and the law mandates that your election superintendent. Okay, so the county election superintendent is mandated to hold a referendum on this ask, and if the Loganville citizens pass it by 50+1, then it comes into effect, effective January 1, 2026. There were discussions that it would include an automatic opportunity for the flossed. If you remember, HB 581 had sort of that, if you do this, you'll get to do this. That is not in here. But we're in year one of the year two biennial of our legislation, so there is an expectation, there are no words that they may offer up and write in some local legislation that would allow the cities to also add in a floss later should they so choose. This legislation, well, not this legislation, House Bill 745 is for you guys. House Bill 746 is for Monroe, and I don't have the other numbers, but all 7 cities all had local legislation dropped on them. So this local legislation will apply to each of the 7 cities located in the 4 corners of Walton County. It does not affect school board taxes. They did not drop local legislation to put a cap on the school board assessment. It does not affect the county's assessment either. It is only an assessment for, it's not an assessment freeze. It's a floating assessment cap for the city taxes that citizens pay that are located inside the 4 corners of the 7 cities here in Walton County. And for y'all, because y'all are one of the 2 that apply, it will apply to all properties in Loganville, even though the legislation is being dropped just by your Walton County delegation. So we had heard word of it on Thursday or Friday from conversations out in the Gold Dome, and we immediately started doing work on it, because normally on local legislation, y'all kind of know about it because you've either asked for it or you've been talking about it and it shows up. This was dropped sort of as a, oh, by the way, kind of conversation on either Thursday or Friday. And then so we started looking for it. We determined that they did get the advertisement in right, but they couldn't introduce the legislation until Monday. So Monday around 6 o'clock, I was looking for it in the hopper to see if it had dropped. It didn't. They dropped it sometime later in the day, because it wasn't until Tuesday morning that it showed up online in the hopper. So y'all have local legislation presented to institute an ad valorem tax exemption, not exactly like HB 581, but similar to, but it will or your school board assessment. Now, the county assessment already has a free system in place, but specifically as it relates to the school board assessment, it won't do anything to that. It'll only do it to your city taxes. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. I've provided you with a copy of House Bill 745. As of today, it didn't have any additional tracking on it, meaning the system didn't show where it was going, but I would suspect that it will be presented for a vote on what they call a local legislation consent vote, where they take a whole lot of local bills and just throw them through consent. I suspect it'll get passed because I'll have to look and see where we are on how many days we have left in the legislature, but it's somewhere around probably 17 or 18 days left if I'm counting off the top of my head.
Who votes on it?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Melanie, go ahead.
So what you're saying is if they pass this, we don't do anything because we're out of this.
I don't know if, I'm going to say it wasn't me, and I'm going to let Miss Patty say that it wasn't her, but I do specifically remember in one of our meetings, she said, so if the Gold Dome does this, they do it, and that's what they do. And that's what the Gold Dome did. Now, y'all are not the only cities. It is our and I can also give you an update on House Bill 92, which is sort of the cleanup of House Bill 581. Y'all are not the only cities. It is my understanding, there are numerous cities that are having that chose to opt out. Not all, but several that are having local legislation dropped on them that is essentially undoing the opt-out in one way, shape, or form. I've been told, but I've not confirmed it, that which would be generally Walton County's floating exemption that's being dropped, is actually one of the more favorable ones to the local authority or the local cities versus some other ones that are more hard-lined in other ways, like at the straight 3% and those sort of things. But to answer your question, basically, if this legislation passes both houses by 2/3 majority and is either signed by the mayor, by the governor into law, or is recess signed, not vetoed within 40 days, then it will become law. Then at the November election, a referendum will be placed on the ballot of your Loganville citizens, and then if the majority plus one voted in, it will take effect for tax year January 1, 2026. I don't know if even the tax assessor's office has had time to sort of process all this, because I do know that just in the initial discussions, this concept of requiring this isn't a freeze, I always use that word wrong, this floating base year is to 2024, and so that means that they'll, like, for people that, it'll make it difficult for them to track which base year compared to like the counties and those sort of things. So they were asking for it to be 2025, but the bill has been dropped as 2024 base year.
So this bill you gave us a copy of,
Yes, sir.
that's just for Walton County?
That is, no.
Is it
The
the
bill
whole
I gave you a
state?
copy of is just for the city of Loganville.
Okay.
There are 6 other identical bills for the other 6 cities that have property located in Walton County between Good Hope, Jersey, Monroe, Social Circle, and Walnut Grove.
But it doesn't affect any of the rest of the state?
No, this bill only affects you guys.
The 745, Skip, they may have 795 down in South Georgia. I don't know.
Correct. There may be other local legislation being dropped.
But
to
that's getting a lot of things done in a big hurry.
So,
So you said that you think it'll pass? I mean, these kind of get rubber stamped?
I don't want to speak for the legislature.
Of course.
But generally, local legislation does not meet with grand opposition in either house in the Gold Dome.
Okay, and so what they've essentially done is set our vote aside
Yes.
and put a pause on it, and if their bill passes, then it goes on the ballot in November,
They've set your vote aside,
right?
and if their bill passes, then the question of this exemption
Goes to the voters.
goes to the voters in November. That is correct.
But what goes to the voters, this bill or the
Yes.
original 581?
No, this bill.
And you know how they'll vote.
Yes.
Well, they'll write
course,
they'll
yeah.
write a one sentence to go on the ballot.
It's written on page 5 of,
And the
So
last
this is the
time,
one
I
with
got
the
to tell you, in my
CPI plus a
opinion,
quarter.
the
This is
description
CPI
they
plus a quarter.
gave to our
CPI plus
voters
quarter.
did not even relate to this bill. It was a crappy bill, I'm sorry, it just was.
It was.
Okay, so my next question is this: since we directed Danny, when we took a vote on this, to make tracks to raise the homestead exemption, should we make a motion to pause that until we find out the results of the bill? Because I don't want to get this bill passed and to do a reduction.
yeah, absolutely, because the whole idea was, I mean, I wasn't there, so I don't want to get into all the details of the conversations, but multiple cities in the county I know had the same idea that they were going to go and ask for local
Right.
legislation to modify their exemption levels. And it appears that some thought that that wasn't happening quickly enough, even though literally some jurisdictions had passed their opt-out less than a week.
So, Danny, have you guys done anything on that? Or Natalie?
Yeah, we were, well, not speak for Paul, but we met last week to write one up, and this happened.
All right, so then I'd like to make a motion, if everybody would approve, or get conversation about it, to pause pursuing a reduction or a raise of the homestead exemption until we get the results
I'll second that.
of this bill.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we got to know what they're going to do first. It's fair.
Well, this is for Representative Martinez, Williamson, and Fleming. This is very disappointing. I feel like our hand got slapped and we got singled out. This is very
Well,
disappointing.
It is kind of disappointing, I guess, but it is what the citizens voted for initially, at least what they thought they were voting for.
That's correct.
So, it's being corrected, I think. I don't know. I don't go anywhere near the Golden Dome, but anywhere, I think it's just being rectified for the citizens' sake, not for the city. Obviously, Danny's over there about to have a heart attack, so.
Well, the
Danny,
pro-
what's
It's
the
bad
effect
for the
to us?
city.
The
It's
problem
bad.
is, if they put the same write-up on the ballot this time that they put last time, it will overwhelmingly pass,
Oh,
because it did not even relate to the bill.
yeah, it'll
So-
probably pass.
Paul,
That's just my opinion.
yeah, Paul,
Yes.
when it comes down to SPOSS, are we legally or not legally allowed to advertise or talk about SPOSS and kind of campaign for it? We cannot. So on this right here, we can't do anything, we can't talk to citizens and advise them?
Go and
Educate
hand this
them.
out to neighbors.
You can educate as to what it does, but you cannot advocate one way or the other.
Okay, I think we should educate so that whatever's on the ballot, people understand.
Yeah, but you have to be very careful with that, because it is the voters' decision, it's their right to choose. And you don't want to be for or against any referendum. You can certainly educate as to facts and realities, but you want to shy away from ever supporting or pushing for one way or the other on any type of referendum.
So,
We can get a copy of the ballot, Lisa, put it on Facebook, and you'll get a whole conversation going.
so we can't even say things, I'm probably about to break the law here saying this, but, so we can't even say, if you're a renter, don't vote for this. If you
No.
own more than one properties, don't
No.
vote for this.
No.
If you have a
No,
business
you
in
cannot.
the
What
city
you can
limits,
say is.
don't vote for this.
What you can say are things like, this legislation, if passed, would increase generally the tax burden on non-homestead properties for the benefit of homestead properties. It will do that. It has to do that, right? But it also, practically speaking, this isn't saying go for or against any referendum. Practically speaking, what it does is it puts the burden of increasing taxes on this group instead of on other legislative groups. I mean, the reality of it is if your tax digest is limited and you still have expenditures that you have to meeting the needs of citizens, and your digest is down, there's only one other way to raise that money, and that's to raise your millage rate. So it's very practical to say this shifts the burden of addressing tax increases back to you guys.
Can we post this on the city's website?
Yes, this bill absolutely is been posted on the State House of Representatives website, so we certainly can post it on our website if
And we
you'd
can
like.
socialize it too?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all public record.
And one more question. I know I'm going to have some neighbors ask me, because they asked before about if they are somehow, because they're disabled veterans, they were asking, did that House bill affect them? Does this affect that?
It does not affect any existing, so it does two things in that regard. It specifically says that this is not in lieu of, but is in addition to any other homestead exemptions already available. So y'all's $2,000 homestead will not go away. It also says that, and this ties into House Bill 92, it also says that if there are two different floating exemptions, which is essentially House Bill 581 and this one, House Bill 745, that the citizen essentially gets the better of the two, right? So where House Bill 92 is, which was the bill to undo House Bill 581 or modify it, it is now, its current version in the Senate, in the Senate, after I checked on Monday, basically came back and the current version basically would require an annual re-upping of the opt-out. So what they've done is they said is, all right, that's fine, you opted out, but now you have to opt out every single year by March the 1st with the same standards of 3 meetings and da-da-da-da-da-da.
Punishment.
Those
This
are your
bill-
words,
This
Mayor.
new bill is gonna say that?
No.
Oh,
House
okay,
Bill 92 currently
Okay,
says that.
yeah. This
Now, that
one,
may not be
you're-
the bill that passes.
You're in, period.
This bill places a floating homestead exemption on city taxes for citizens of the city of Loganville, for homesteaders in the city of Loganville, assuming it passes the House and the Senate by 2/3 majority, is signed by the governor, and is approved at a referendum by the electorate in November.
So that terminology, opting in and opting out's gone. I guess it's gone. Yeah, which is good. That got confusing.
Well, one of the things I'd like to compliment the council on, we know house appraisals have been going out of sight for the last few years. Your city in Loganville never took advantage of that. We rolled back the tax rate ever since 2019, so that we basically got the same money year after year, for the most part. And we were proud of that, to be quite candid. Not everybody did it or could do it, but we did, and I thank the council for doing that for the citizens. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll work with it.
And we're the only city in Walton County that had a
Already had a homestead
$2,000
exemption.
homestead
Yeah,
exemption.
we were.
And with that, Mayor, that's all that I have this evening.
Well, I should
think
hope
those
so,
three
for
were
God's
enough.
Okay, it's my duty now to do the hardest part of everything. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. That didn't take a lot. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?